Charles Placide, I have bad news. Unfortunately, this is a reply to my previous video about ended now women's ordination, the end of women's ordination, never before seen writings from Ellen White for the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I just run upon some bad news. Some people were commenting to me that they could not see the notes when they clicked the link, and so I checked, and it seems there's some technological issues with the app developers that the Evernote app, their app I'm using for the public notebook. So the link works, and I'll show it to you. The link works. It'll take you there to my notebook, but the only bad thing is that you click on it and you can't see all of my notes, and you scroll down and the notes disappear. But I'm going to show you that I do indeed have these statements, these writings from Ellen G. White. I don't know if it's working fine for those who might happen to have the Evernote app and they're already signed in and they save my notebook. I don't know if it'll work for them, but those who just click on the link and they go to my notebook, they just can't see my notes. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like. Okay, so this is it. This is my Evernote. This is Women's Ordination Notebook right here. And this is the Women's Ordination Notebook right here. It says you're viewing 61 notes. You're going to see the same thing in the public notebook, which right now it's malfunctioning. But this one is my personal notebook where you can see all of the notes in here. Here's the first note, second note, third note, and all the way down. Whole list of them. Now, by the time you get to maybe the 12 to 13 note, really the intro note, not the first two notes, but those are invite notes. But this note right here of this notebook, this third note, this is the intro. That means the introductionary note. You're going to see just the entire outlook of this whole notebook and what's in it. Not only, I'll let you see. For instance, this is the intro note, and right here you have from Volume 1 of the Testimony. Now this was not. I've known about this statement for maybe over 3 to 4 or 5 years, so this one wasn't new to me. This one and the second one in this same book of Volume 1 of the Testimonies by Ellen White. The major statement is the Review and Herald one right here. When you come to the proof note, Review and Herald, December 19th, 1878, and I'm going to exegete it and go through it, and then also this is the never before seen note, Review and Herald, December 19th, 1878. Now there's another note of a different variation. 8 years later, she's still unchanging. This is her mind. This is Ellen White's mind, her understanding, her recommendation for the question of if a woman could be a voter or an office holder in the church. This is entirely a religious context, a church context. Now, I'm going to show you, and this is the beautiful thing of this notebook, I'm going to show you not only the end of women's ordination, I'm going to show you something more in to Ellen White's understanding and the church's understanding in her day. And it's phenomenal that many people don't know this. I knew about, for instance, one, she's not only against, and this is the statement, I do not recommend that women should seek to become a voter or an office holder, but as a missionary and teaching the truth by epistolary correspondence. Epistolary means like epistles, letters. So by letter correspondence, also distributing tracts and soliciting subscribers for periodicals. That's one of the ministries that she recommended. But she did not recommend that women should seek to become a voter or an office holder. You can look at that whole article, Review and Herald, December 19th, 1878, and you can see that it's entirely a religious context. I'm saying this, I'm mentioning this now because I'm going to mention something very interesting. A retort that some persons they will try to give you in trying to say that this isn't a legitimate statement. It is indeed a legitimate statement. Read the context. It's entirely religious context. It has nothing to do with, and this is what they'll try to say, it has nothing to do with the women's suffrage movement, the political context, the secular political context. Ellen White was not only against a woman voting and being an office holder in the church, but she was also against women voting and being an office holder in the state. She was against that. The time that she lived, for instance, she lived contemporaneously to the women's suffrage movement. That was the movement led by persons like Susan B. Anthony, where they were pushing for the women's right to vote, women's rights, and also furthermore, like for instance, some of the same arguments that we have today, like the wage gaps between men and women, and they wanted a wage equality, stuff like that. But women's rights, that they could work in the same positions or so on, but also they pushed further for the right to vote, and they eventually won that in the early 1900s. After Ellen White died, they eventually won that and then got that amendment to the Constitution, the 14th Amendment. Well, here she speaks out against them in Volume 1 of the Testimonies. 2 times, I'm going to show you a second statement where she does it again. 2 times she does that. These statements I've known about for over 3 to 4 or 5 years. These aren't new to me. I've learned about them when I was studying about dress reform. But unfortunately, that's in my dress reform playlist. Also a public notebook with all of my notes you could see there. But again, just like this women's ordination notebook, you can't see barely any of my notes on there. Especially when you scroll down, for instance, you won't be able to see any of the notes. But here she says, those who feel called out to join the movement in favor of women's rights and the so-called dress reform might as well sever all connection with the third angel's message. Why did she speak so forthrightly like that? In Volume 1 of the Testimonies, page 457, paragraph 3. Why did she speak so boldly such as that? Well, it's not simply only because the founders were all spiritualists, but too because of their now the founders, I'm meaning the women's rights, the women's suffrage movement leaders. They were virtually all spiritualists, and the items that they were pushing for instance, they wanted to be able to wear pants like men instead of dresses. And this was the first time women would start putting on slacks or pants like men would. And everyone in America, they were appalled. They were angry. A woman went to prison for it. But they were the first ones to push it, because in spiritualism, especially in the cult world, they try to blend the sexes. When you study that and you see that they push for an alpha, some sorts of alpha individual, a blend between male and female, man and woman, and they try to blend the two persons. They have pictures of that. They tried to blend the two persons, and they say when these two genders come together, you'll have a perfect person. This type of supreme intellect, this type of supreme person. Well, that's where you get the ideas of the, if I can pronounce it right, that androgyny deception in fashion, and the fashion of today, when women dress like men and men dress up like women, cross-genderism, gender confusion, so on. This was intentionally promoted by spiritualists. It's in part of their teachings, but nonetheless, and also in Eastern pagan religions, also they have that idea of blending the male female together and promoting some sort of supreme individual or intellect again. So you'll find it repetitively in those sorts of satanic and pagan religions. That's the way they think. Well, nonetheless, so these spiritualists, they were trying to push the idea that women could be like men. And so that's one of the reasons why Ellen White, she was totally against them. Not only for their cross-dressing, but also because of their teachings, their teachings tied into spiritualism that they were promoting. And two, because she was totally against the idea of women voting and being a political office holder also, pardon me. And this is the second statement you'll find in the same book, volume 1 of the Testimonies. It's a repeat, a slight repeat, but she's going to give more detail. Volume 1 of the Testimonies, page 421, paragraph 4. Those who feel called out to join the movement in favor of women's rights and the so-called dress reform might as well sever, that means cut off, sever all connection with the third angel's message. The spirit which attends the one cannot be in harmony with the other. The scriptures are plain. Listen to this. The scriptures are plain upon the relations and rights of men and women. Notice that. Not just the relations between men and women, but also the rights of men and women. So she's highlighting those 2 points. Spiritualists have to quite an extent adopted this singular mode of dress. So she's highlighting their dress too also there. Skipping ahead to the next paragraph, it says, I was shown, the next page in paragraph, page 422, paragraph 1, I was shown that God would have us take a course consistent and explainable. So what is she talking about? The scriptures are plain, upon the relations and rights of men and women. That's what's consistent. That's what's explainable. Same word, plain, as in explainable. So it's very interesting. So this is the political point that she's speaking against of it. If you don't believe me, go to the next note, not the next note, go to the note where it says question, EGW, and if women can vote politically. I'm going to have those two statements here again, but I'm going to have this extra statement in volume 3 of the Testimonies. This one I haven't seen before, I don't remember. Volume 3 of the Testimonies, and other statements too elsewhere where she's quite clear that she's against, pardon me, I'm scrolling too quick, while she's quite clear that she's against the idea of women voting in politics and taking a position in government. Well, so that's one thing. So to this statement, I don't even remember if I shared this with you yet. And this is the weightier statement. This is the church politics. This is the voter and the office holder. So it's both. This is Review in the Herald, December 19th, 1878. And this is Signs of the Times. 8 years later, she would continue in her position, still unchanging. And she would continue and she'd say the same thing. I do not recommend that women should seek to become a voter or office holder, but as a missionary. And again, the context in Signs of the Times, September 16th, 1886, it's entirely religious. So on. And I prove why that's the case. Two, also, I correct, you can see it right there in the statement. She continues the thought, in both places. In Review and Herald, in paragraph 12, and then down to paragraph 15, the same words are there where she talks about, she's continuing the same line of thought about the church offices and the cause of God. And also here in paragraph 15 where she speaks against it, so on. She gives her viewpoints on it, that she's against it. She does not recommend that women should seek. They should not seek to become a voter or an office holder. And she does it again in Signs of the Times. Here, paragraph 5, offices, so on. Here, and then again, paragraph 8 and then paragraph 9, same thing. I do not recommend that women should seek to become a voter or office holder. So again, this is her mind, this is her understanding, this is her recommendation, this is her stance on it. And her stance, and you'll see other statements too and various other notes why it's still the same thing. And so seeing that and studying Review and Herald and Signs of the Times, those two statements, you'll be able to correct statements like in Daughters of God, for instance. And this is a compilation book. Ellen White, this wasn't made in her lifetime. This was unfortunately promoted by the White Estate, and you can read here on about that. Sometimes they compile books. They have permission to do that from Ellen White, but to do that, though, they have to understand the context. And compiling books, they have to understand the context of statements sometimes, and they usually do a very beautiful job. They're awesome. I have deep respect for them and the work that they do. But here, unfortunately, they did make a mistake. And so showing you Review and Herald and Signs of the Times, and you can read the whole article yourself, showing you both of those articles, you can clearly see, very clearly, that it's an entirely religious context. It does not make a hint of a mention towards the women's suffrage movement and towards voting, as they incorrectly say here. It has nothing to do. Those two articles, they have nothing to do with the women's rights movement, the women's suffrage movement, and they're pushing for the right to vote and equality of rights. It has nothing to do that. It's entirely religious context. But here in the book Daughters of God, it's a book compilation, and I can show you when they created it, when it was published. It's well after Ellen White's death. So Ellen White died well before that, but nonetheless, they have permission by her to compile her writings in beautiful ways so that you can understand her writings and statements and topics and so on, whether in dress, country living, health, the health work, or so on. They do a very beautiful job. But here, unfortunately, in Daughters of God, page 18, paragraph 1, they made a terrible mistake. This symbol right here, this is a bracket. Those symbols, it implies that they're adding something into the text to help you better understand what Ellen White is saying. They'll do that to share with you historical context so that you can understand what Ellen White means. They'll do that to share a word, maybe one word they might put, so that you can better understand the sentence of what Ellen White means to our language today. But unfortunately, they they mistakenly, incorrectly put that this has to do with politics and not with the church. This whole part here in brackets. So that Ellen White didn't write that. The White Estate wrote that, and it was to try to help you to understand it. But I showed you the context already of those two statements. Reviewing, and this is pardon me. This is where they got this statement from. They got it from Review and Herald and or the Signs of the Times, and they put it in this book, just like they did from many of Ellen White's other numerous statements, and they compiled those statements together and put them in a certain order to help you better understand what it was that Ellen White was trying to say. But unfortunately, they just messed up on this point, on Daughters of God, page 18, paragraph 1. A quick way to be able to tell if it's a book that Ellen White created and not maybe I'll explain that another time, but you can usually understand that at the beginning of the page 1, and it gives you an introductory lesson about, it gives you an introductory lesson. I'm typing let's see, introductory lesson about when this book was created. I'm going on the Android app. I love the Android app a lot. Pardon me, let me just type in a search. I'm going too quickly. Daughters of God, and it was 18:1. Remember to put the space in between it. And there, it'll take you right to it. But pardon me, but I'm not showing you that. I'm showing you that this is indeed a book compilation. And you can learn this yourself doing this repeatedly. Did I put 11 by accident? No. You can find this yourself. I put 1, but it for some reason brought me to 11. I put DG1. Oh, I think I clicked on 11.1 by accident. My fault. Oh, no, it did it again. Interesting. So that's a little bit of a quirk on the website. I mess up. Oh, there. So that's what they did. That's page 1. So page 2, they'll explain page 1, 1, 2, 3. The first couple of pages, they'll explain to you why, when this book was created, and so on. It'll give you great detail. So on that. 2, also, you can go right there to the details of the book. Click details. When you click on the book, go to books and you find Daughters of God. You just click on Daughters of God and it'll take you right here. And it'll tell you right here, publication year, 1998. So that was when this book was created. Ellen White, she fell asleep in the Lord. Meaning she died. She died in 1915, the year 1915. So this is 80 some years beyond that. But again, they have permission to do that from her, saying that that's a good thing and that's something that the Lord would like. And it's a beautiful thing that they do that. It's just they unfortunately made that mistake. So this is a book compilation. The year 1998 it was made. Not in the lifetime of Ellen White, where that she would have had some influence to herself publish it with others. So again, I wish I could show you the more, but this is the issue that you'll find if you already clicked on the link and you already know it. This is what will happen if you click on. That was the video. Pardon me. That was the video I shared everywhere on Facebook. And on Streams of Light, my YouTube channel, I clicked on the link, I scrolled down, I say click the website link beneath the video for the notes, skipping ahead by Ellen White to me. If you do not have time to watch this video, just click that link. If you do not have time to watch this video, click that link. This a 12-minute video. Unfortunately, I tried to do it quicker, but I'm not much of a speaker, but many people said I wasn't speaking quick enough, so I'm trying to do that all now. But if you don't have time, just go underneath here and here, and this is the link. Pardon me. To see it all, pardon me, I did it earlier, but to see the whole writings underneath it, just click, it would say more also. You would click more also, and you would see all of that. But just click the link. Just click the link, and it'll take you to my website. I clicked on the link twice. It'll take you to my website. Click View Notebook, and or whatever you want to click, and then these are my notes. But look at this. Look at this. I scrolled down. You saw there was more notes. I scrolled down, they disappeared. I scrolled down again. Okay, those are still there. But I scrolled down, and the notes that were above this, it disappeared. Notice it says 1 through 10 here. 1 through 10 of 61 notes. 1 through 10 would be in here. But then as you scroll down, it's supposed to continue to 11. Look at that number, to 12, 14, 17. Down to 61. Just like I showed you, all of these should be of my other notes, but you can't see them all, unfortunately. And so that's the problem, not only for this notebook, but for my other notebooks that I put the links up on my YouTube channel. So it's quite unfortunate. They're working on it to fix it, but it's quite unfortunate. But that's what's going on. In the meantime, to make up, so stay in tune. And in the meantime, to make up for it, stay in tune. Subscribe to my channel right here. It should be a subscribe button. Shame on me. It's because I put the thing down. That's weird. But nonetheless, go to my channel. There should be a big red subscribe button. You would click it. That's very, very... Oh, because I can't subscribe to myself, so I can't find it. But it should be here, where it would say subscribe, and you'd click on it, and then you would be subscribed to me, and you would see when I would put the video up there. Now, this is my YouTube channel, Streams of Light Charles Placide, and this will make up for it. It's a beautiful channel where that you would learn the whole Word of God, and you will see so much more that the Lord has to offer through this Seventh-day Adventist Church. It is beautiful, and it's to finish this work by preaching the three angels' messages. So let's be serious, saints, and I pray, keep watching, keep praying, watching and praying, not only for these times that we're living in, but also to help to equip you to be able to watch and pray, be watching these videos. Pardon. And so this is my playlist, and it's beautiful, you guys. Streams of Light, you can get to there by clicking, searching for Streams of Light, or by searching for Charles Placide, and you'd click on the picture, click on the word Streams of Light Charles Placide all the time, and it would always take you to this channel. If you're on your Android phone, sometimes it takes you to my videos. Just switch to home. Don't stay in my videos. Click on home, and it'll take you to my home page, this home page, and you'll get the whole experience. YouTube is having some trouble. Interesting. It's my YouTube. It'll work for you guys though. But this is my YouTube channel. Enjoy it. Be blessed, and stay tuned so that you can see, wow, all that it is the Lord has to offer. It's not just women's ordination the Lord has been sharing with me. It is a lot, and it is a blessing. It is a lot, and it is a blessing. But I'm trying to follow the Lord's counsels, and saying that if you have new light, to share it first with the leaders first before sharing it with the members. So I decided to do that for some points, but other points of truth, they're not new light, they're old light, stuff we should have known, whether it's country living, or whether it's true education, dress reform, or so on. We should have known that a long time ago, and should have still been practicing that. and much of those, the white estate, they do speak on, but it's unfortunately many people, they're not reading about it, but they're not reading the scriptures, and they're not studying the councils. Well, to also, I'm just going to leave it at that, actually. You guys be blessed and keep in tune, and may the Lord bless you. And pray that the Lord fights against Satan, and the Lord can send his angels to aid the Evernote company, so that they can fix this issue, so that you guys can get all of those notes and understand it, see it, share it, and my soul, we can end this issue. We can end this issue and many a more issue of things, even the more awesome that the Lord has shared with me. Share this out, you guys, with streams of light to everyone, you guys, I pray. This is Charles Placide, and I will talk to you guys again and later. Bye.